Introducing Elle Kersey, Mastering Community Engagement. What makes a community thrive? It's not about numbers, it's about connection, purpose, and meaningful engagement. So, Elle Kersey knows that a thriving community isn't built overnight. It takes strategy, intention, and authenticity. In this session, you should listen out for how to attract the right people for your community, strategies for fostering meaningful engagements, the power of exclusive experiences in building loyalty, practical tools to keep your community active and growing. If you want to level up your community, this session is the one you shouldn't miss. So, El Kersey, you have the floor.
All right. Hey, you guys, I, you know how whenever you're doing something, it's always like a mixed amount of emotions. And the tech and the world and everything else just wants to keep you in a little tizzy, right? So, this morning, well, just to give you like a frame, right? A framework where we are. We just moved into our new offices. This is like you guys are getting the first look at what my lab is going to look like. We're in the process of uh, getting like the inspection done. So we have a couple things that we had to do for to get our bathroom ADA compliant. But we want to be able to service all of our community in a safe and uh, professional way. So we were very happy when they came in, and they even the inspector was like, "Wow!" So that made me feel great. So what you're looking at behind me, you're like, what's all that? So that floor behind me is actually a rubber mat floor, and it allows for when people come in to be able to easily and safely move around and do different types of movements like you would at a gym. Okay, so that's the context. Okay, so what I've been thinking about and trying to make this like interesting um as a talk is, hey Tom, is the how everything really is a microcosm of everything else. So, okay, so imagine this. You're an athlete. You've been pushing and training your entire life, like probably since you somewhere between 3 and 6 years old, is when you start working on becoming a future professional athlete. And in a split second, something that you've done hundreds of times, all of a sudden lands you in surgery and your future is looking crazy and you really are all alone, right? Because there's no fans, there's no family, there's nobody around, and you're just sitting in the hospital bed thinking like what your future's going to be. Like it could be, you're going to get through this easily and it's going to be fine. You could get through it and you're going to have like permanent damage and you'll never play again. And in the same vein of thought, imagine you're an entrepreneur. You've been working your butt off, right? And your business is growing, you have clients, everything's seeming like it's coming together. But then all of a sudden there's a change. What if you're like digital, right? And then, social, the platform changes the algorithm or they don't allow you to communicate with the same level of people who used to. And then so now everything's starting to dry up. Your engagements fade and then suddenly all of a sudden again, you are out of the game and all alone, right? So all of these things are when you think of building community, if you have um been if you can contribute outside of the norm, right? Like you are making authentic, focused connections. you won't, things might get bleak for a few moments, but you will be able to recover. So if you're an athlete and all you focus on is just playing a game and you don't contribute to team building activities and you aren't, uh, just active as a player. You're not trying to be a leader. You're just like showing up, playing, leaving, right? Same deal with your business and your community. If you just show up, do what the minimum that you have to do and leave because all you're there for is a paycheck, then that's an issue because you're not authentically showing up. Now, either you are not happy with the position or job that you have, or you just don't see the bigger picture and how you actually um, are supposed to be contributing to your environment. So your I always feel like it's like your circle, right? You have different, if you think about it like just like in concentric circles, like smaller, bigger, 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 right? Your inner circle is always going to be the people who you can count on when it's downtime. Now that circle could be huge, right? That inner circle could be huge or it could be very, very small. I feel like it should be like pocketed, right? So you have an inner circle of people who, for your personal, you have an inner circle of people for your business, you have an inner circle of people for your social, you have an inner circle of people for kind of like your miscellaneous things, right? Not that, it's not that you're being like one of the things that um, the, the, the write-ups or AI or whatever was saying was that it's not about being elite, right? That's not how it works. Because it's not that you're doing it to be exclusive, you're doing it so that the people in the room have value to each other as well as to you, right? So if if you take it like if you take it to as like a sports focus, like you have people who love one team and people who love another team. And if the two teams are playing each other, then everybody's engaged. But if you have the people who love one team and the people who really don't have, their team's not playing, so they're really not interested or focused on really what's going on. They're just kind of around, hanging around. It's the same in your life and in your business, right? If your business is making widgets and everybody that's involved in the process of sourcing the materials, making sure the machines are working, making sure you have sales, making sure that the place is clean. If none of the people, if all of the people that are in that environment are not as dedicated to the situation as everybody else, then you're going to have people who are going to just be bringing it down, right? You're going to always have a situation where somebody has to go behind somebody. Did you clean up? Did you this? Did you that? Do that? If you're motivated, you're going to do what you need to do. So you always want to figure out who's in your circle at the time that you're doing whatever you're doing. So that's really important. You can have somebody who is not as skilled as somebody else, but they are more focused and dedicated and willing versus somebody who's just, oh, I'm here. I'm here. Just they gonna pay me, so I'm gonna be here. So no, you come to me, you ask me a question, and I'm like, okay, so this is what I think. Whether you take my advice or not is not the point. The point is that you're gonna take action. So can't just sit there and be like, oh, I'm being a bump on the dog's butt and just hope for the best. She'll get it together eventually or whatever, whatever. No, that's not how I see it should be. And I think that when you allow that to happen in your groups, then that's when you have other people that start questioning. Um, they don't question the person because they didn't do it. They question you because you're the reason why they are there. Any questions about that? If you
Yeah,
said something, Thomas, I didn't hear you.
yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
When we are dealing with the motivations of others, I'm just wondering how much each of us, or as the leader of a group, how much we can do to help people's motivations, or how much control do you really have over that? Because people join groups for different reasons. Sometimes it has nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
Some people want to be seen, and they know where they are going, so they show up. They show up in the community. They really show up, right? Some people are just trying to, oh my goodness, depending on where they are in life, in their own stage of life, they may just see it as not important, and it reflects. So how much control or how much influence can I, as a leader of a group or a community, have in that regard over another person's motivations?
This is gonna sound real harsh. Just just kick them out.
Whoa, I wasn't expecting that.
I know, right? That's why I said it's gonna sound real harsh. Just kick them out. I mean, because first of all, if your intention is not to be useful and part of the group, why are you here? Right? So you're wasting my time and you're making everybody else frustrated. So let's not play this game. I might have another community that might be better for you, but just kick them out. You can't control people's motivations. You can't coax them into, doing whatever. So if they don't, I mean, it's not your job, right? Your job is to service the people who you you need to service, right? So that's where that whole kind of being selective about who you accept into your groups, then just it's like we are always not always the current manifesto is how many likes can you get, how many people can you have, and all this kind of stuff, right? But it can't ever be about the numbers, because you can have five people working on one project and everybody is totally in tune and you can get lots of things done versus being in a group of 500 people and nobody's working in the same direction, so you're not getting anything done. So you always have to stay true to your purpose. You got to identify that first, right? So you need to know what your purpose is. You need to make sure that it's aligned with you as your value system. Jason always talks about like your core values and your pillars and stuff like that. It took me a long time to kind of grasp what he was saying, because it was like my concept of pillars was just the things that corporations write down and they say that this is what we believe, and they never uh, really operate in that. So I just thought, okay, so we got to decide what some pillars are going to be. But like it took him forever to really beat into my head that no, pillars really are the things that help you stay focused and stay on track when you are um, in the process, right? So your pillars are the things that hold you firm during the downtimes. It's the things that keep you moving in the same direction even though you want to quit. I haven't done this in a while, but I like just call my daughter and be like, okay, I quit today. And she's like, okay, you can quit for 5 minutes, but I'll see you at the office. Stuff like that. Or you'll be doing something and you'll get a call from somebody out of the blue. And they'll say, you really helped me so much. You know, I've 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 taken what you've done for me and now I'm doing this. And you're like, what? All it wasn't to you, it was like just what you authentically are supposed to be doing. But the impact that you're having on other people is so important. And you just really have to remember that you are there for a purpose. And anything that's a distraction from your purpose is not worth it. So just kick them out. The right people will show up. That answer your question?
Yes, it did. Oh my goodness. Thank
Okay.
you.
And I know it's going, I said, like I said, I knew it was going to sound harsh, but it's just the reality of it. Um, and then there's also, so one of the questions that I was reading, from the first part of this series was, what's the difference between community and audience? And that was like a very interesting thought process that I went through about this. So, your community is where you are working with a group of people and you all are kind of like coming together to accomplish a goal. Your audience are the people who you and your community service. So, it's kind of like a nuance, but it's like your audience receives from you. You and your community deliver to others. And so one of the things that I was thinking about with that is you have some people who their lifestyle is philanthropy, and you have some people who give to charity. Now, a lifestyle of philanthropy means that all of your personal is taken care of. You are not sacrificing anything to contribute to the lifestyle and livelihood of others. It is just something that, I mean, yeah, yeah. So, but then someone who gives to charity is somebody who is like, I have to make sure I can't give, right? So sometimes I can't give because I have to make sure that my children are eating, right? So this week I can't give my $5 because my paycheck was short. But so those two differences are kind of the way that you kind of think about it, right? So, well, the way I kind of thought about it. Even though they're like two completely different things, you kind of get the same feeling, right? So when you're in a community, right, it's what you do and it's part of how you function. It is your purpose. When you are the audience, it's like I'm still trying to get what I need so that I can be uh, at the level where um, my needs have been fully met and I'm able to then contribute. I hope that's a good analogy because it to me it's about how it feels, right? When you are a community, the lack is less. When you are just an audience, you're just trying to um, fill in the gaps of what's needed. That makes sense, Erica? Y'all follow me?
Got
Or
it.
do I need to do a different one? Okay, cool. I know this is so I'm trying not to be philosophical. I'm trying to be like just practical about it. Um, yeah. So, okay, so we won't beat that dead horse. Okay. And okay, so what I super love is being able to not rest on my laurels, right? Which is so interesting because that's one of the reasons why I never used to listen to our testimonials. But recently I had to start listening to them and I was like, wow, I had no idea that we were really helping people this way. But the thing is what you have to do is not focus on the past. And I'm really big about that. It's like, okay, so what are we going to do today? Like, who are we going to help today? How is that going to, how is what to do? Because I don't believe in like the past and the future. I know people always say that, tomorrow, whatever, whatever. But I'm like, the only thing that you can impact is today. The ramifications of what you do today will impact sometime in a later time, but it is also not going to, you can't like work on something in the future. If that makes sense. So, um, when your audience says, we need a solution for um, a better microphone. We need because the microphones are just too big, they're in the way, and I don't have any space to write because the base of my microphone's too big. I'm just coming up with something. Okay. So if that's your wheelhouse and you're like, you know what? I figured out a way to be able to suspend your microphone from I don't know, paper clip, I don't know. And and you can actually sit it and it's actually better because it's gonna do da da da. Okay, fine. So now you have a solution that can become a product that can become a um a staple. Like you want to become essential to your audience, not just a um option, right? The more essential that you can become to the day-to-day tasks um for your audience, the better. So the way that you do that is by listening and adapting. So the old church adage, we've done it like this always, and that used to make me so crazy, and I'm like, just because you did it like that before doesn't mean one that it was the best way to do it, doesn't mean that it was the most efficient way to do it, doesn't mean that it was the most impactful way to do it, doesn't mean that right now is going to be the right way to do it. So you gotta take the time to assess because anytime you do something, anytime I run a program, anytime I do anything, I always take the time to go to do a end up, I call them my roundup, because you have to look at, okay, so what was effective? How did it work? Da, 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 right? So whether I'm working on a client and I'm trying to decide um, how I'm going to move forward with this process. I'm like looking at my notes, trying to, taking into consideration all the things that they told me as we were working. And then I'm like, okay, so what if we try it a different way, right? And so now, for example, when people come in and they're like, my elbow hurts, I've already been to this doctor, I've been to the chiropractor, I've been to the physical therapist, I've been to all this, my elbow still hurts. What I found is that it's probably not your elbow. Believe that? Can you believe that? There's nothing wrong with your elbow. There's something else causing your elbow to hurt. So I'm going to try to examine other areas that's connected to your elbow to see what's hurting your elbow. And it works. Because before I used to be like everybody else, okay, let me see your elbow. I look at your elbow, but pretty much it's all in Erica can vouch for that. So yeah, so that's that. So all right. So you want to listen, you want to adapt, and you want to watch your business transform because you wherever you start is not where you're going to end up because we're trying to bring new things to the environment. So that's that part. Then, because y'all got questions about that. Anybody got anything to share? Nope. Okay.
I do
All
have
right.
something. I do have something. You had mentioned being essential. I thought that was interesting. And I'm sure you could probably do a whole webinar on that. Like, how do you become essential? Maybe you can touch on that a little bit. Are there some things you can practically do to achieve that?
Okay. So all right. So that's okay. So I can explain. Okay. So I'm gonna give you a real life world example of what I got right now. So what I do, when my business right now, Lux Maverick, what we do is we help mm, professional athletes to overcome injuries faster. Now, recently we crunched the numbers on that and we found that we actually help players recover 15.8 times faster, right? Now, that's insane because if you take a sprain, for example, and it takes your average is 43.5 days to recover from a sprain. It takes us 2.75 days to get you fully recovered and back out without pain or swelling or anything like that. And um, that's going to get you back out into the game so you don't miss time, blah, blah, blah. So that's why that's the thing. Now, that within itself is just okay. I mean, yes, it's surprising and shocking and amazing and wow, but how is that important, right, to the industry? And so what I re so not so just going around telling people that statistic is just going to get me a kudo. Wow, right. How we're going to become essential is by figuring out, okay, how much money do teams spend every year on sprains? One team can spend millions of dollars every year just on sprains. And there's no treatment for a sprain. So they just have people going home frustrated because they don't want to just be home, but they're in pain. So they just ice it and rest it and then wait the time for what the doctor said before they could come back. Then they come back and then they're still in pain, but they're like, I'm going to work through it anyway. So they wrap it up and take shots and pills and all kind of stuff. And it never gets really fully better. So what we had to do was figure out why is what we are doing important to them and who it's important to and in what way is it important. So what we identified is that for agents, sports agents are directly impacted when their players can't play, and whether it's for behavioral or injury or just sickness, right? It's there. It's impacted. The player themselves have what's called an athletic valuation. So whenever you are injured, it reduces your value. If you're out for extended periods of time, it also reduces your value. And then the side effects of your injury is going to reduce your value. And there's a few more things, right, that we could go down the list. But those three things specifically for us. So what we actually have been able, we figured out that we could do is help to increase their valuation, which has never been done before. Because players are always, you are a depreciating asset, always, never an appreciating asset, in when it comes to those three categories. So what we figured out that we could do is not only shorten your recovery time, we not only get rid of the side effects from your old injuries, not only can we reduce the impact of the injury, we can also get rid of old injuries and help you to increase your performance at a rapid rate, so that now your valuation is going, theoretically, right, can be increased beyond what your original valuation was. Now, that's huge for an athlete because that is directly going to impact how much money they make. And as you know, it's their job, so they want to get paid as much as they can. And then how is that going to impact trainers? Because what we do is shorten the time that it takes for a person to recover from an injury and then have them get with their trainers for uh, performance enhancement, right? So now we become part of the fabric and the conversations of most of the people that's involved with the recovery um, segment of a agent's, I mean, of a player's life, right? So now we're not just a, oh, it's nice to have, it's a, oh my God, we gotta have this, right? So so that's how you do it. Like you have to figure out, what are you offering? How is your offer going to impact not only like one person, but the fabric um of the industry, right? So if you are, like I said, selling widgets, it's not like, what is your widget going to do for this one company or one person? It's like, okay, so we make the best widgets, so we're helping to increase the security, right, of the fasteners, right? And the people who needs to know why our widgets are so good are going to be the purchasers, the going to talk to the, say, the manufacturing community to let them know, so it's your job to figure out how your um offering becomes part of the fabric, right, of a situation, and not just how it's going to impact one situation. That answer?
Yes, it did.
Okay, cool. All right. So, uh,
So would you say it's just about thinking deeper about the value that you bring and really getting clear on that?
yes.
Got it. Got it.
And
Thank you.
how Jason always, so I guess Jason, the way Jay, I know I'm always talking about Jason, but the way Jason always talks about it is like, who are your other areas of influence, or who's your other audiences, right? So um it's important to know, so because most of the stuff that I kind of think about is just come more organic. And the reason why I always talk about Jason is because he always has those terms that seem to house everything. um but for the way that you want to think about your situation is how what naturally feels what feels natural. To me, that's what's important because you can think about it from I always like think about it like things differently. Like you got the male and the female version of everything. And because it's like that's like the yin and yang, right? So men tend to compartmentalize and have everything kind of organized in rows, right? In boxes. And women tend to be able to um finesse the connections between the boxes so that they work well, right? So that's the difference between like thank you, a male and the yin and yang, right? So of business, right? Because when you are in a space and you're um working, let me see how I can put that. When the mindset is we have to organize and we have to thank you um Sade, when you have to organize and you have to plan, that's one part of it, but the nuances that make those things come to life, right? It's like you can have it all down on paper, but when it actually comes into being, right? You have to be able to utilize all the pieces at once. So it's kind of like playing a piano. You can just kind of hit one note and it sounds fine. But if you hit a chord, you're like, oh, that's a little bit better. And then you use a little foot pedal and it makes it hum. You're like, wow. So there's all these different things that you can do to make that one note expand and become a symphony. So yeah, that's what I got with that. All right. Now, so I'm about to stop talking. So let's let's do a thing. Okay, so let's do this thing. So out on Tuesday, we got another wrap up thing. We got a panel discussion. So let's do something. So you can do one of three things. You can send a voice memo instead of a text to somebody. So if you don't know how to do that, just open up your text, hit the little microphone, and just talk to somebody. Or check in with the old customer without trying to sell them anything. Just be like, hey, how you doing? I just wanted to check in with you. I haven't talked to you in a long time. Like you don't have to sell every time you talk to somebody, it doesn't have to be about a sale. You have to care about your community. And people are like, well, I don't have time for that. Why not? I mean, you don't know that just everything about your business cannot be transactional. It doesn't create community that way. I still write hand notes to my clients. I still do all kind of those old school things because I feel like those things really make a difference. I haven't now let me say in the last 18 months I have not done really any note writing, but I still like take the time to just check in with people. I always, one of the things that I do is I send a follow up and I'm like, how you doing? It's been a few weeks. I just want to make sure that you're not having any challenges. If you are, please let me know. When you have an injury, you can still operate your body as if you have that injury, and then you can cause yourself some other issues. So I'm always, always give people opportunity to really, really stay in touch. Um, so that they can win. All right. And then, or last thing is, haha, you can start a real conversation with someone in your network. How about that? Instead of just, it's difficult. Um, it's difficult to just sit and um, constantly imagine what it would be like to talk to somebody in your group or community or organization or whatever. So, um, just reach out to somebody and do something to build a real relationship with somebody, and you'll never know where it'll lead, you know? So I think that's enough talking for me today.
All right then, Elle. Let everybody know where they can find you on social.
Uh, um, Mostly LinkedIn. I really let my team. I'm in charge of like kind of what we say on Instagram, but I really have a hard time trying to go on there because I already said last time why I don't like being on there. So it's just not. I just find it disturbing a lot of the time. So, but LinkedIn really is a good place to find me. Or you could just email me. We I If it's a personal, I mean, if it's like an email with somebody's like actually wanting to talk directly to me, my team will send me the email. So you can email me at concierge@luxmaverick.com.
Okay.
That's really all.
All
You can call.
right. Well, I wanted to share this also because next Tuesday, that is the 18th of February at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Elle Kersey will be on a panel discussion, and you can go ahead and sign up for that right now if you wanted to. This is the landing page where you will find the sign up. I just wanted to share that with you. So other than that, if you like what Elle Kersey has to say, you want to network with her more besides LinkedIn and email, you'll need to join the Virtual Summiteers peer group. And if you're not live with us on Zoom right now and you're watching us via the live stream, it's time to say goodbye. So, catch you next time.